Since my Super Noobs video essay kinda blew up, I want to share some content of my own. If anyone cares, I'm going to be infodumping and explaining my world building NOCs. Please note, I do not have a lot of visuals for my world building, so please try to use your imagination to the best of your ability. I hope you enjoy or listen to some of my yapping. The time period is in the far future, specifically 2505. The franchise is called United Cybernetic Forces, or UCF for short. The United Cybernetic Forces is a military force that fights aliens, deals with alien relations, and colonizes planets and moons for humanity. The UCF was created through a galactic treaty uniting all nations and colonies to allow their citizens to be recruited. There is a population of around 15 billion people spread across the galaxy, and there are approximately 3 million registered soldiers. There are 6 main roles: pilots, technicians, gunners, logicians, diplomats, and medics. The pilot is the one who operates ships, leads their squad/crew, and overall operates transportation. Technicians operate the mechanics, access and manage the database and files between the soldiers, and manage and repair the technology of the ship. Gunners operate a wide variety of weapons, whether that be the ship cannons, handheld blasters, or explosives. They're the most experienced with weapons and tactics. Logicians have the most general knowledge and survival skills. They overall plan the strategies and efficiency within the squad. Diplomats are fluent in several languages to communicate with aliens and civilians. They have the best social skills and are usually the therapist and mediator of the squad. Medics heal their squad in emergency situations, whether that be viral, physical, or technological illnesses and injuries. It isn't called the United Cybernetic Forces without reason. They are literally cyborg super soldiers. They have cybernetic hands and feet for multiple physical benefits such as increased strength, dexterity, durability, and lack of pain receptors. They even have cybernetic eyes that improve their vision and track their targets. They also have chips in their brains that track their missions, kills, and targets, and can make them speak Siphon. This is a fictional language I'll elaborate further in a bit. Individual soldiers have different types of enhanced specialized skills depending on their role and skill set. Like some of them have super enhanced vision or enhanced speed. They're kind of powers in a way, but more so enhancements that improve already existing human senses. When they retire, their cybernetic parts decommission and are not at peak condition. Their chip gets removed and stored in a heavily gated and secured archive. The process of what roles are given to them are through an academy before these operations. They are tested physically, mentally, and emotionally if they are fully prepared on what it takes to be a soldier. These trials are to ensure that these operations in cybernetics are fully consensual, and they are capable of wielding them. Fun fact: in case the soldier dies away from the UCF headquarters and are unable to access the chip is able to recognize the brain being dead and emit a small explosion to eject from the head. After reaching the surface, instructions of giving or mailing the chip to the UCF headquarters are projected onto any language whoever stumbles by. They are legally obligated to do so within a deadline and receive a handsome reward for doing so. Crazy procedure, right? Also, another protocol they have is that in case the chip in a soldier is malfunctioning or being dangerous to themselves or others, technicians have the hidden knowledge of knowing a specialized verbal code that renders them unconscious. However, the drawback is in preventing power abuse, it knocks out the technician themselves. Obviously, it's used for absolute emergencies. They also have extreme temperature regulation where, when they are at extreme temperatures, their bodies and cybernetics can create artificial heat or coolness. Their hands can also camouflage into their skin color, looking like normal hands. However, when they utilize their augments, the camouflage fades. This is obviously used in civilian environments or undercover missions. Now elaborating on the language Siphon. Siphon is a specialized language for the UCF. This is to ensure unity and confidentiality. As the UCF recruits humans all around the galaxy, it's obvious that they have different native tongues. Siphon is in these translation chips inside their brains that make them able to speak and understand Siphon. This language was created in the first years of the UCF's establishment and was made by feeding thousands of human languages into advanced AI systems. It's described as cultureless, monotone, and synthetic. It's also completely impossible to speak the language perfectly, and only synthesized computer voices are able to do so. Since it's such a neutral language, the speaker's voice, accent, and speech patterns shine through speaking it. Not everyone's native language jokes or idioms perfectly translate either, but it leaves with awkward and funny interactions. The Academy is a large singular institution where every recruit trains to be a soldier. The age range you can enlist is from ages 18 to 23. They seek people who are young and in peak condition. Academy takes 3 years: rookie, cadet, and trainee. It is near Proxima Centauri and is called Centaurus Academy. Classes and training are taught in Siphon, however they receive translation pieces of their native language to get by. The acceptance rate is not low, but several students do not go through the full 3 years, making it a difficult feat to graduate. There is a 1-month period after graduation after receiving the augments and Siphon chips. This time frame is to recover from the operations and to interact in Siphon with their peers. The first year of academy, known as rookie, is to take general classes and focus on finding their role. Second year, cadets, focus on finding what weapons and combat style they are strongest and most comfortable with. Then, they take specialized classes on their fighting strengths to try to master them. The third final year, trainees have the most vigorous and intense year, testing beyond their limits on what it takes to be a soldier. They still take specialized classes on their role and fighting styles, but also, they're often assistants of actual soldiers on small-scale missions for experience and learning opportunities. How missions work is that they are often assigned by AI systems that analyze the mission's goals and intentions, search through the soldier database based on attributes and predicted dynamics. Files are printed in physical paper due to the fact that digital files have any risk of being compromised. To achieve the most confidentiality, they print the files under a specialized paper made of chemicals that evaporate under oxygen within hours. The files are also scripted in Siphon as well. Due to the UCF being covert from the government and civilians, they have a protocol to go by call sign basis outside of fully civilian contexts. Another fun fact is that all soldiers are required to take contraceptives. They've greatly improved and are also existent for men, where there's little side effects and are a lot more effective. Obviously, they can't risk pregnancy during missions. Personal relationships between squads are discouraged by higher-ups, but obviously they can't prevent certain actions during missions. Now onto what civilian life is like in this world. For transportation, high-speed railway is the main use of transport within most countries. To travel to other countries or planets, teleportation works by sending information to the destination of every atom in your body. It completely destroys and obliterates you and creates a new you at the destination. Basically, physical copy and paste. Passengers are unconscious during this process, so don't worry. Teleportation is the equivalent of our flight system. Expensive and not used often in daily life. Humans actually shouldn't teleport often as their new bodies need a form of recovery. The Mail system also thrives on teleportation, with items being able to be sent and received pretty quickly. Spacecraft still exists, but mainly used for the UCF to visit alien nations or outward expansion and adventure. Recreational and civilian spacecraft is fairly rare. The human colonies around the galaxy are Terra, known as the Earth, Luna, known as the Moon, Marsen, known as Mars, Ceres, Tement, Proxima Centauri, or Proxen for short. This is where the Academy and UCF headquarters is located. There's Europa, Kepler, Luton, and Gliese. For how society works, there are several benefits. There are thousands of active human languages, but English is the most spoken and taught in schools. People generally evolved to learn and speak languages at a better and faster rate. It is a secondary language for most, however. First alien contact was around 100 years ago. While human prejudices are minimized and rare, it is mainly concentrated towards aliens and wariness towards them. Race is also written in a completely different context in this world. It's not used as a classifier between humans anymore. It's used to differentiate humans from aliens. Ethnicity would be the main identifier of culture and genetics. The main form of communication is through 3-dimensional holograms. Pretty cheesy, but also cool. Reproduction and families have also improved. Artificial wombs are now put into place for women who do not want to go to pregnancy. Contraceptives are also much more accessible and effective, which lowered the rate of accidental pregnancies. They are taught comprehensively during education. The accidental pregnancy rate is around 5 to 6%, and the adoption system is also a lot more advanced and improved. Human population grew exponentially, not only because of outward planet expansion, but that reproduction was a lot more feasible. Same-sex couples could even have biological children through DNA exchange technology, which works by extracting DNA from a sperm or egg and injecting it into an empty sperm or egg. There's also compromised measuring systems with the metric system and the use of the 24-hour clock. A drawback of society is that there's still a lot of corruption from government and elite members of society, such as billionaires, celebrities, and high-ranking government officials. What makes it subtly scary is that corruption is a lot more hidden and easily gotten away with. Power is often abused within these positions. Within this world, there exists a vigilante hacker group known as the Lotus. The Lotus are moles that have connections within the elite that exchange and leak confidential information to one another. They're an unorganized group that cannot contact each other through the dark web and use anonymity to use forums, file sharing, and chat messaging. Their main goal is to expose and leak at corruption within the elites of society and to take them down from power. It's called the Lotus as lotus flowers are seen as pretty but can be deceptive. About aliens, there are 3 known other alien races: Cleotons, Talons, and Talanges. Cleotons have extreme physical strength and use brute force for their methods. They are shown to be generally hostile towards humans. They are of muscular and of tall stature. They have shades from blue to green skin and have 4 eyes. 3 eyes on their face and 1 on the back of their head to be able to see from a 180 view constantly for battle-like reflexes. Overall, Cleotons and humans do not get along, and there's a lot of racial tension between them. Talons are the most noticeable by their large heads, signifying they have a larger brain than the average human. They are severely intelligent and are capable of learning human languages. They communicate to each other through telepathy. Humans and Talons are recent allies as a peace treaty was formed between them around 20 years ago. Talanges are the furthest distance away from humans. They are ape-like and their planet has a lot of vegetation. However, their plant life is completely different from Earth and is unknown if it's safe for human consumption. Humans are neutral to them and have little to no contact towards them due to their primitive lifestyle. First, we got Eagle, our pilot. She's the known leader, stoic, strict, and keeps everyone in line. She values reading the enemy and counter-stratting, the type to get disappointed instead of mad. Though deep down, she cares about her squad to ensure they do not get hurt, and believes that they are safe under. She's organized and cannot stand discord or clutter. However, the expectations to be perfect and collected is extremely high and has emotional cracks every now and then. Born as Ari Jong on planet Marsan on April 4th, 2479, Marsan is a human-resided planet with several colonies from Earth. Korea has a secondary country called Sesong. Eagle was raised in the city of Charyol, and her parents are her mother, Deong, and her father, Gunho. She's the oldest of 2, with a younger brother, 2 years younger, Take. She was always raised with high expectations growing up, influenced by her parents who take her studies seriously, be an example for her brother. She developed an ambition to succeed off-world, which her parents strongly disapproved of, wanting her to stay on Marsan. She would see skilled space pilots in entertainment and even got to meet one at a career day in her academy. Academy was difficult and rigorous, but she managed to succeed academically, not at her own want, but to fulfill the expectations of her parents. One of her largest passions was laser tag. She was the IGO, or short for in-game leader, of her academy team, and even got to play other teams from different countries and planets in the high school league. However, she wanted to be a space pilot and thought of cruising through the galaxy seamlessly in a sleek craft as a fantasy. She clearly remembered seeing a UCF squad eating at her work as a teenager, which was a barbecue restaurant. Hearing how they spoke such an unheard and intriguing language known as Siphon. They also had cyborg hands while holding the menus, which fascinated her. While she wanted to take their orders and asked in Korean, she could clearly remember the appearance of the diplomat not looking like her, speaking in fluent and perfect Korean to her. She was interested and puzzled at the customers, as it later led to more research on who they were, and became more and more interested in seeing what they did and how to become one. It finally clicked on what she wanted to pursue as a career. While her dreams of being a space pilot were there, entering the field as either domestic or recreational purpose was difficult. She found her best chances to be with the UCF as the pilot role and to enroll in Centaurus Academy, when she was able to save enough money to do so. After she graduated from Academy, she spent extra hours working and tried to cover up to her parents that she was studying hard. She never found the guts to tell her parents the truth of her ambition. When she finally saved enough money for an off-planet ticket and completed her application and got accepted, she had to tell the truth. Her parents were outraged, trying to convince her to stay and why she hadn't told sooner. The look on their faces was a vivid memory of worry, anger, love, and sorrow. It was one of her deepest regrets withholding her vision. When she entered Centaurus Academy at 20, she was amazed at how large it was. It was 2 or 3 times bigger than the average university and was basically a city at this point. She started off as timid and unsure socially to be in control and direct with her orders. She excelled at her academics but was physically insufficient. If she was going to be an immaculate space pilot, she might as well start working hard. The exercise and training was brutal, but at the end of her rookie year, she made it to the cut of being a pilot by choice. With being the top 70th percentile as a trainee pilot, she graduated in 2502 at the age of 23. During her first few years as a UCF pilot, she mainly did solo missions operating small but mobile and aerodynamic spacecraft transport. While she did do squad missions, they were minor and temporary, and she did not see them very closely and only as co-workers. The Eagle was known as a good leader, keeping everyone in line and making sure everyone did their role. Next, we got the technician Dagger. He's cool and chill and can come up with ideas and strategies on the fly. He knows how to be unpredictable. However, he values information the most, gathering the most he can before he voices his opinions and statements. He also takes advantage of utilizing the power of info over people. He strongly dislikes lying and spreading misinformation and is a good lie detector. He's able to be direct and understanding, simplifying his thought processes to others. He does what he does and usually has a no-nonsense behind his actions. Born as Christ Zaro in Adama, Ethiopia, Earth on January 30th, 2478. He was born in a situation of crisis and corruption. He grew up being raised by his father, Zaro. He remembered his father being a good man and caring for him. Dagger's mother supposedly died from an accident that his father wouldn't open much about from his childlike curiosity. He was fairly content with life, doing well at his classes, and had a close relationship with his father. During his childhood, he had a best friend at his school that he would hang out with a lot. He even developed feelings for him, which was difficult for him to comprehend as a child. As he was walking home from school, he received news of his father being murdered, finding out at the age of 12. This immense grief complicated his relationships, and he distanced himself from his friend. His uncle and aunt took him under his care and had to move to Addis Ababa with them, along with being introduced by what allegiance his father and uncle were a part of. It was an active rebellion against the class of government with chips. Chips exist in civilian societies reserved for government and high-class jobs to access an exclusive database and receive certain skills depending on their occupation. More and more people are getting chips, which meant better production to their jobs. It also felt like they were getting less human freedoms. Dagger understood their movement and intentions and became a member of the government-mandated chip resistance. Dagger thought he could see some similarities between his father and uncle, but knew they raised him differently. His father raised him out of love, while his uncle raised him with the movement. During his school years, he barely made friends since the loss of his father and the lack of his childhood friend. He mainly got along with his teachers and specialized in technology and computer science. He was conflicted over his personal views, as his teachers had chips and they were all well benefited and nice. He spent 8 years with the movement, witnessing more people receiving chips and the involuntary effects of it. Despite sounding contradictory, he managed to convince his uncle to leave for the UCF by saying he would serve as an insider for them against the government and technology, when his true intentions were independence and a freer pursuit of technology. He joined the UCF at age 21 and graduated when he was 24. Centaurus Academy was tough for him, but he stayed in his lane, gave status updates when necessary, and got along with his roommate fine. He graduated in 2502 at age 24. Fun fact, he's a part of the Lotus and is aware of the existing corruption and flaws within the UCF. Next, we have Crash. He's the gunner. He's the youngest and most chaotic, brings the humor and entertainment. Though reckless, everyone treats him as the little brother and is unhateable. He occasionally says something smart and strategic, which leaves everyone stunned for a second, to realize that's actually insightful. Most of the time, though, his suggestions are half-baked ideas and jokes. However, he's a loyal and good friend to have, being there at your low. Born as Lavrenti Ilowski on planet Gliese on October 6, 2481. Gliese is a planet known for freezing temperatures and tough people. Crash was born in the country Vlodvik, consisting mainly of people of Slavic and Scandinavian descent. He was raised by his parents Ilona and Victor. Being the youngest of four, he felt overshadowed often as his older siblings achieved their parents' expectations of staying with the family and having good jobs. During his teenage years, he had the dream of being a professional laser tag player. However, his parents weren't the most supportive of this career path. He spent most of his hobby time playing video games and was a good laser tag player for his school. He was a prodigious entry fragger for the team since he was a freshman. Laser tag is an exponentially more popular sport in this world. He felt happy and content during his teenage years and had a good group of friends he played games with. But as college was upcoming, his friends grew apart from him and his parents kept bugging him with what job he was going to have. When he was 17, turning 18, he entered and gambled, playing with competitive laser tag as a free agent and scrapping money for expenses and entries. He was losing money and started secretly stealing money from his family. One day, he heard from a secretive person that there was a high-stakes laser tag game with a prize large enough to fulfill the rest of his lifetime. It was at a discreet address, but what he didn't know was that it was an illegal underground ring with laundered money as a cash prize. It also turned out that the laser blasters were illegally obtained and the projectiles were fatal. He did not know and unintentionally killed someone. Fear overtook him as he had to escape. He managed to, but severely injured his right eye after getting cut in that area. Guilt manifested heavily as he received the vivid memory of shooting someone. He involved himself in a severely dangerous game. Though he was aware of the UCF, but was not interested at first, he didn't have much of a choice but to leave. With all the money he had left, he teleported to Proxima Centauri. He applied for a loan for tuition for Centaurus Academy and attended at the age of 19. After what happened at his home planet, he changed his name to Lars and goes by Crash. With his past experience with video games and laser tag, he picked the role of gunner. He had a severe struggle taking the laser blaster class due to the incident, but eventually passed with the help of therapy from diplomats and graduated in 2503 at age 21. He's exceptional with every weapon now, but still hesitates a bit using his laser blaster. There's Volta, the logician. She's bubbly and eccentric. Says what's on her mind constantly. Her mind truly is an enigma due to how many ideas it spews out. Most of it's random knowledge and stories she likes to tell. She's often underestimated based on her ditziness, but her ideas are mostly reliable, and it's quite impressive how quick she retrieves her knowledge and information. Born as Leah Musashi in Kepler on August 26, 2480, Kepler is a planet with a diverse background and has simple immigration laws, with most colonies being a melting pot. Volta was raised by her Japanese father Keisuke and El Salvadorian mother Hade. She grew up being able to speak both Japanese and Spanish. Volta was a very bright and curious kid growing up. She wanted to know everything and mainly kept a positive attitude. Her parents couldn't afford many things she wanted in life, but she was still grateful of them regardless. Volta excelled at school with natural interest in the scientific method and the urge to make her parents proud. She wanted to become a data scientist and hoped she could pursue her passions and financially support her parents. With her excelling school, she was able to receive financial aid to become a student at a prestigious academy. The academy was a boarding school, which meant she would have to separate from her parents. While she was sad and homesick at first, she managed to make a place and take the most out of her education. She formed multiple friendships and even discovered more of herself. She even was able to form 2 casual relationships throughout her time at the academy, being a boy and a girl respectfully. She discovered that she was bisexual. Volta graduated from the academy within top 100 ranking and received a scholarship to her dream university. She got to go back home during break during college, was going to start with pure joy and pride as she reunited with her parents, fulfilling her promise to them. Volta started attending college with full determination. Things have been going fairly well as she was taking classes for her data science degree, until multiple news reported an alleged biological warfare towards her hometown. After contacting her parents, she recently found out her parents were affected and the main symptom was a compromised immune system. The attack came from the alien race of Cleotons. Volta was worried but also furious. She wanted to find out who was responsible for the attack. She was going to get the best chance of achieving vendetta. She instantly thought of the UCF. They perform alien contact the most, and without much thorough thinking, she decided to drop out of college and enroll as a student on Centaurus Academy at age 20. She found the classes easy to pick up and picked the role of logician as it suited her way of thinking. She graduated at age 23 in 2503. Then, there's Cupid, the diplomat. He's the person you can rely on to tell your troubles on. It's quite impressive how he can word his responses and how many languages he knows. He can come off as cold and sarcastic at first, but when you open up to him, he's surprisingly comforting and assuring. He also has good charisma and charm, captivating others on first impression. He takes care of himself and his physical appearance pretty well. Born as Migos Excelu in Ceres on May 18, 2478. Ceres is a dwarf planet that holds a modest population of around 150,000. Cupid was assigned female at birth with the given name Michelle, found it uncomfortable to live as female. He was able to receive resources of therapy and started transitioning during his teenage years. Transitioning and acceptance for transgender people is more accessible and apparent. His parents were a Jordanian mother and an Italian father. They were wealthy and well off, owning and managing a local branch for a major corporation. They were too busy for him. They felt emotionally distant, so he felt the need to make friends outside of home. They enabled him to transition, however. He was a subpar student at school as his subject matters weren't anything interesting. The only reason he liked school was because of his friends and that he gained a reputation for giving good advice. It even got to the point where people were paying him on what his advice was. Thanks to the motivation of his friends, he was able to pass his classes and successfully graduate. He didn't really care nor what to do as a career. His friends suggested that he be a therapist because he was so good at giving advice. As he was turning 18 and still didn't have much motivation to pick a job, he ended up having to take a career exam because his parents wanted him to. He received the result of jobs around the field of social science and work due to his cognitive ability on helping and understanding others. Cupid later decided to pick up language learning and found learning Romance languages easy as Italian was his native language. He picked them up early, talking to other Romance language users without using a translation piece. Out of boredom and exploration, he joined a Romanian book club at 20 where he was able to pick up the language pretty quickly and make friends. Despite them being older, there was a good friend he made, Codrin. Codrin learned quickly of Migo's lack of motivation for a career and his ambitions on wanting to learn languages and travel. He later tells him of an abroad program where it wasn't exactly a job and pursues Migo's passions. This interested Cupid and he accepted. The teleportation ticket ended up landing in Proxima Centauri. The supposed program was Centaurus Academy. He was fooled. Though not fully clear of Codrin's intentions, he was able to sense that he would have been a good diplomat. Cupid couldn't afford a ticket back to Ceres, and the ticket also came back with a scholarship with a note saying, "Don't worry about tuition. This academy will change your life and you will be a great diplomat, Codrin." He remembered how nice he was to him and was almost an older cousin figure despite being 10 years his senior. Cupid ended up enjoying Centaurus Academy and graduated at 2501 at 23. Lastly, we have Virtue, the medic. She's calm and serene, she's a good buddy to have tea with, her voice is comforting to hear, and she has a hopeful and wise soul. The oldest of the squad, she tries to keep her role and responsibility, and everyone can rely on. She's morally grounded and wants to do what's right. However, some of her hope blinds her from reality sometimes. Born as Tosa Amanok on July 27, 2476 in Europa, a moon of Jupiter, it is a planet of ice and an abundance of water. She was born of Inuit descent. During her childhood, Virtue was very close with her family and community, but it wasn't until walking home from school she witnessed an explosion nearby and clearly visible to her own eyes. Rubble and terror was everywhere and caused panic. This was later reported to be an attack from the Cleotons in 2486. Virtue was 10 years old at the time, and while she was running away to escape, a part of a building was about to fall on her. Virtue wasn't aware of this, but she was suddenly picked up by a uniformed soldier. It wasn't until she looked behind until she noticed the falling building piece on the ground. She noticed how strong and fast the soldier was, which intimidated and fascinated her. As the soldier dropped her off to an unknown location, away from the explosion, she didn't know what to say or do besides saying thank you in her native language. The soldier responded in such an unheard and obscure language. The soldier wore a helmet, and she couldn't see their face very well. That was the last time Virtue saw that soldier and felt a sense of discontentment, as she never saw or met that soldier again. She later found a nearby shelter and tried to find the resources to return home. Virtue found out that her home has been affected and that her family members have been separated. As a casualty list has been displayed throughout the news, she found out her older brother was on it. He was only 15. Her parents were not, meaning she had to find them. When she reunited with her parents, it was not the same anymore as she lost her brother. Virtue throughout her adolescence felt discontent from her home's destruction, but also felt inspired as she wished she was able to see them again. As she later found out about the UCF, she considered what it would be like to save someone's life. While she was 18 and 19, Virtue knew she wanted to do and save some money for a teleportation ticket to Proxima Centauri. She witnessed the reconstruction of her city, but also the distance between her parents as they lost a child. It was conflicting and awful being in the middle of their arguments. It was no one's fault, yet she felt like she had the blame. She left to attend Centaurus Academy at age 20 and graduated in 2499 at age 23. Virtue still hoped to find that soldier that saved her and to save lives. Eagle has enhanced vision, as she is a mastered sniper user and pilot. It felt necessary to have this skill. Her average vision is described as extremely skilled and can see 3 to 5 times better than someone with 20/20 vision, with a max of 120 vision when focused. She also has night and underwater vision and is activated when necessary. They remain dormant for when unneeded. When having night vision active, her eyes glow green. However, she can only activate one mode at a time: zoom mode, night mode, or underwater mode. Dagger has enhanced memory and temporary invisibility. He is able to memorize data at an extremely fast rate. By memorizing several lines of code and files by reading them with intent, it is handy in missions. He also took specialized training and conditioning to have temporary invisibility by allowing light to pass through his body's molecules. A major drawback is that he's unable to see as light passes through non-visible eyelids. Crash has enhanced speed. His average running speed is 5 times faster than the average human. Peak speeds can be up to 50 kilometers an hour. Agility is needed as Crash specializes in lightweight and close-range weapons. His mobility is useful for quick mobility and efficient infiltration. Volta has photographic memory and enhanced problem-solving. She's able to quickly access the data of her own chip. Every visual gets captured toward her memory by intentionally blinking for it to be a photo file. Her chip also gives her a UI to analyze her surroundings and give possible solutions on ways to solve a conflict. Cupid has auditory memory and polyglot. Every interaction heard within his presence is heard and processed through his chip. It can be processed and analyzed as audio recording footage when necessary. He's able to also speak several languages with an advanced translation chip. Virtue has a biology and anatomy database and enhanced survivability. Due to being the medic, having a chip that assists in doctoral knowledge is quite handy and assists as a helpful tool rather than a crutch. A medic's survival is vital, and in near-death and stressful situations, the augment signals adrenaline, the will to live at a higher and concentrate than average, and also boosts the immune system. I think this world and my characters are my outlet of imagination. I question the spectrum of ethics and morality between authority, military, and society. Well, that wraps up my world building in OCs. Thanks for watching all of this video, and I hope you understand my explanations and yapping. Goodbye.